welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize, and my next guest, he's a two-time best-selling author, a digital marketing expert, an entrepreneur, and speaker. Welcome to the show, Jeremy Haselwood.
Look, I'm still bopping off your intro song there.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Just come in the room. I already know the rhythm is there for today's podcast. So let's go.
Awesome. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. It's a great day,
man.
Yeah,
like I was telling you off air, this is actually my first show back from surgery. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I miss doing this. This is something I love doing. I'm very passionate about podcasting and being able to connect with people like yourself. So let's get this going.
Yeah, you're gonna pick it up like riding a bike. You got this.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. So what was the moment that made you realize you wanted to leave your home state and chase your dreams, man?
Oh man, it was, the actual moment. I can't tell you the moment, but I guess the backstory. I'm originally from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City and Guthrie. Grew up back and forth, divorced parents. And at 15, my dad and my stepmother moved to a different town in Oklahoma, and I went and lived with my mom in Oklahoma City. And went there. My brother moved with me. He's actually a grade older than me. Didn't know anybody, and a bigger school than what I was used to. So I was like that dude at the lunchroom, just sitting by myself. It was lonely. It was sad. But my escape was music. So I started writing poetry, started writing rhymes, and creating beats at the house. And I just started rhyming, man, and took that with me through college, and got to a point in college where I really wanted to pursue music. And a friend of mine, we had a group, and it was like, do we go to New York, LA, or Atlanta? And I had and still have family in Atlanta. So I'm like, let's go out there for a summer. And I think it was one of those things where we were first moved out for a summer to test it out and see how it went. But I guess the ultimate decision to say we are staying in Atlanta versus we're just going to dip our toe in and see how it is the first show that we performed at in Atlanta. It was like an Apollo style show where they'll boo you off stage. And we ended up winning the show. So we're like, look, man, we can't go back to Oklahoma. We have to see what's happening here and pursue it. So I guess that if you look at what was the point that made me decide to stay in Atlanta, it was winning that first Apollo show in Atlanta.
Awesome. So how did your time in the music industry influence your approach to business and marketing?
Oh man, it's the foundation of everything I do with business and marketing. When I was in the music industry, and I use that word lightly, like I was in the industry, but not making money in the industry. It's like a feast or famine kind of industry. But here in Atlanta, it's like I was on the scene everywhere. Performed at like every stage that was available, every mic that was available, got in with some labels, management, producers, studios. So I was pretty ingrained in it. But you fast forward, and to answer your question, it's like what I learned is running a business is really the same as what I was doing as an artist, because I was self-contained. Like I wrote, I produced, I mixed, did the vocals, of course, arranged, pulled in different players, instrumental players when I needed to. So it was all like orchestration. And then it's like you have the product, music being the product, and now you have to market it. So how do you connect with an audience? Where do you go? What do you say? How do you keep that relationship going? And now I own a marketing consulting company in Atlanta, and everything I'm doing now is like exactly the playbook that I did with the music industry. I'm just getting paid for it now, and as opposed to being a broke artist. So, and it's nice. It's still like my passion, and it's still within me.
Awesome. You've worked in both corporate America and as a entrepreneur. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from both?
Corporate America was good in many ways in that it provides structure. There was a telecom company that I worked with that had an excellent training program that I didn't realize at the time. But when I left that company to go to smaller companies, and I was like, well, when is training for this? How do you train? They're like, training? We don't do training. So you really get like some world-class training and resources, and you learn some structures of business. You learn the politics of business. But you also have like the limitations, and a lot of decision makers, and the politics don't always work in your favor. So that's definitely those lessons and some of those structures like I can apply to how I run my business today. It's just good to have the flexibility and the freedom to call the shots. But at the same time, if something works, it's great. But when it doesn't work, like it's all on me, but that's fine.
What inspired you to write Finding Your Edge, and how has that changed your perspective on life?
Yeah, Finding Your Edge was about a 10-year process for me to write. And it really comes from my story of leaving home when I was 20 years old to move to Atlanta, pursuing a dream, and that dream not really panning out how I had envisioned that it would. And getting to a point where this dream that I had really became something that was kind of ugly in a way. It was because when you really get in, you see like the ins and outs of the music industry. Like I really just wanted to be an artist and perform and affect people, and the business side and the politics, and like it's a lot, and it's not for everybody, and it wasn't for me. So I got to that point where I was like, this is what I thought my life was going to be, and now I have no idea what I want to do. Like I moved my whole life to follow a dream. So it kind of, and at the same time, I was working full time. So I had a full time job doing music. So I say like my 9 to 5 job was telecom, and then my 5 to 9 job was music, because I'd go home, I'd write, produce, record, perform. But when it was kind of like this culmination of the music fading out, and then I lost my job. So it was like unemployment, not knowing what I was going to do next. Didn't have the I guess the desire to continue music anymore, at least not in the same way. So I was like, I don't know what to do now, and went through this period of really trying to rediscover myself and find who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? When the dream you thought it was kind of shatters in a way, where do we go from here and pick up the pieces? And how do we find purpose in life? So did a lot of work on myself, ended up going back to school, getting my master's degree, got a lot of coaching actually through that program, did a lot of assessments on myself, a lot of reflection. And on the flip side, not the flip side of that, but as life continued, started my own marketing consultancy and really hit my stride and really found joy in what I do. And so I wrote about it and the different things that I experienced, the different frameworks that I came up with that helped me out, kind of get out of that rut, get out of being stuck, and really help me to discover who I am with my talents and passions, and tying that to my purpose. I wrote a book about it, and that's Finding Your Edge. And it's been really helpful for me. And now it's like I have this book, which is kind of like I'm a messenger of hope now. So with this book, like I can do speaking and workshops and inspire other people, because when I tell people about the book, I tell them what I went through. They're like, wow, like I've been there, or I'm there right now. Like I hate my job, or it's like I like my job, but I know I'm supposed to be doing something different, but I don't know where to start. So that's who I wrote the book for, is people who are stuck just like I was, like Stuck in My Mind podcast. Come on now.
Oh yeah, no, I feel you, man. Because
Yeah.
prior to me starting the podcast and
Hmm.
doing it, I didn't know, I didn't have my purpose. I didn't know what I
Yeah.
I have a good paying job. I'm a pit boss in a casino,
Hmm.
and I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? What
Yeah.
am I, because I knew personally, I felt it, that I was supposed to be doing more.
Hmm.
Um, I went through some dark times in my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was when I discovered podcasting, when I started, finally got the courage
Yeah.
to press record and release my first episode, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I like this. I love this feeling. This feeling, being able to talk to people and have them share their stories, and
Hmm.
it's been wonderful, because like you never know what impact you're gonna have, man. Like
Right.
there's people who reached out to me with some amazing feedback, with like, yo, thank you for this episode. I needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And so when you get that kind of feedback, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Can I
Sure,
turn the
go ahead.
tables for a
Let's
quick
do
sec?
this. Let's do this.
No, because you said something really profound that I want to dig into because I don't know if you've talked about it on all the episodes of your podcast, but if you have, let's bring it back up on this one. When you say the courage to podcast, like what was keeping you from doing it?
Oh man, self-talk. Like
Yeah.
me telling myself, "Oh, who's gonna want to listen to you?
Hmm.
You ain't got no voice.
Right.
Your voice sounds horrible."
Yep.
Like all this negative self-talk within me, like
Yeah.
just from years of people putting their doubts on you and everything,
Yeah.
and it was
Right.
like, man, can I do this? I don't
Hmm.
know anything about this. I'm not a media guy. I don't.
Hmm.
I've taught myself about mics. I taught myself about mixers. All this
Yeah.
all the stuff you learned.
Yeah.
I'm saying at 44, I started learning
Yeah. Yeah.
and started just all right, okay, and I just started doing my own thing
Yeah.
and a lot of the time it was like, okay, YouTube University, man,
Yep.
and so when I finally recorded my first episode, it was me and my nephew. I didn't have the proper hookup. I
Yeah.
had a $160 podcast studio that I bought from Amazon.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
was a little mixer. It was a Behringer mixer
Hmm.
with headphones and mics. I didn't even have the proper hookup for the phone because my nephew was on the phone. So what I was
Okay.
doing was holding the phone to the
Oh,
mic.
like on speaker or something.
Yeah, he was on speaker and he was talking
Yeah.
on the and that was the first episode. He was like, "Nah, we can't release that." I was like, "Nah, we're gonna release that."
Oh,
I
I
said, "We're
love
gonna
that.
release that because I want people to see how we've grown. I want people to
Yeah.
see where I've started at,
And
which was
yes.
basic, to
Hmm.
now where I know the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic. I know
Right.
what kind of camera I want to use.
Hmm.
So for me it was like, nah, I want people to see the progress. I want them to see
Yeah.
that where how far I've come along
Yes.
since I started.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I love that story because I think so many people that I talk to, and you as well, it's like you had the courage to do it. And I think a lot of people lose the battle in the mind, which is stuck in my mind. Like
Yeah,
that being stuck in the mind will keep you from
and that's
being who you're supposed to be in this world.
bro, and that was me. I was stuck. I was
Yeah.
like, because I had the equipment for over a year. I purchased the
Yeah.
equipment in 2019. Me and my
Hmm.
homeboy was gonna start a podcast. I got the book,
Yeah.
Podcasting for Dummies.
Okay.
Like we was gonna start a sports podcast and everything,
Yeah.
and then him and his girl got pregnant, and so that kid he got done. So I was like, I was
Right.
by myself, and I was
Hmm.
like I said, I was all the self doubt. And I was
Hmm.
just like, nah, man, this don't sound. I would record stuff. Nah, they don't sound right. Delete it.
Yeah.
Record
Yeah.
stuff. Nah, don't sound right. Delete it. And
Yep.
one day, me and my nephew just here chatting up and talking and everything. And then I was like, yo, fuck it. Let's just record.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Put it out there, man.
Just put it out there. Yeah.
That's
And
it.
so, and it was easy because I like, yeah, I've been stuck in my mind. That's the name of
Yeah.
the show. Stuck in my
Yeah.
mind. This is, and at first it was more me. It was solo.
Hmm.
Me, because at the time it was the George Floyd situation, the
Yeah.
2020 elections,
Yep.
all this bullshit going on, the pandemic.
Yep.
I was furloughed from work,
Mm.
and I came on and I was just talking about what was going on and everything. I
Yeah.
just how I was feeling,
Real.
and
Yep.
then, but I was enjoying the podcasting. I just wasn't
Mhm.
enjoying the content.
Right.
It wasn't what I wanted because everybody was doing that. I just like, nah, I got to find
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when I started interviewing people, and at first it was hard to get people to come, like,
Yeah.
like one of the first questions is, how many downloads you get?
Of
And I'm like,
course.
I'm
Yeah. How many
green, man.
followers you have,
Yeah,
how many
like
streams. It's
so.
like, come on, you gonna
So
mess with me or not?
I was like, yo, you gonna record? Like, so I
Yeah.
got ghosted so many times,
Oh man.
and so, but I kept going. I kept going. I linked. I started connecting with people. I
Mhm.
connected with this PR guy. He started sending me guests. I started off with some BCD celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody really major, but
Yep.
and so it was like, all right, let's just. And I started getting into it. And then I started interviewing friends of mine who are entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
And that's where it started leading to, and people started interviewing people who had some amazing stories,
Hmm.
and then it wasn't until I really started focusing on the people I wanted to speak to, which was coaches,
Mm.
entrepreneurs,
Yep.
speakers, and that things really started clicking and things
That's
really
right.
started going, because it was
Yeah.
something like that was something I was passionate about. There's something I've always felt within me, that I was a teacher and someone who wanted to coach
Yeah.
and wanted to speak. So I wanted to get the most information from people who were doing it.
Right.
So
Right.
in a way, I was selfish on my part, because I wanted to learn this information and talk to these people,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I'm sharing it with my audience.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, it's good. It's a good thing, because I'm learning. My audience is learning. People again
Yeah.
being able to share their message and share their stories. So it was like,
Exactly.
all right, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, everything that you're saying is like it's very in line with a lot of things I talk about in my book and even my own journey. And is like, just it doesn't have to be perfect. I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back because we're like, oh, I don't want either people to judge it, or I know if I put it out, it's not ready. So I want to make sure that whatever's there is my absolute best version.
Yeah.
And even like you said, man, if you look at your first episode and probably the first 10 episodes look nothing like they do now. You've gotten better
Oh
because you've
yeah.
put in the work. So it's like
Hmm.
when you start to go down this path of purpose, it's going to be a little rough at first, but you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to level up. And each
Yeah.
time you step out and do it, it's going to get better and better and better. But you have to at least start that journey in order to get where you are and get where I am. You can't do it just being in your mind and thinking about doing it and negating yourself before you even start.
Bro, first I was strictly audio for the first 132
Wow.
episodes,
Hmm.
and it was crazy because I was using StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, at first, yeah, it was over the phone. I was interviewing people over the phone and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and through other stuff. But then I
Hmm.
started using StreamYard, but I was just using the audio aspect of it. I was recording on my Rodecaster Pro,
Hmm.
and just interviewing people. And I interviewed a couple. They were marketing specialists and everything.
Okay.
And the husband goes, so do you do video?
Hmm.
And I was like, nah, I'm not ready. I'm waiting for it to get perfect. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
goes, so you do video? I said, nah, no, no, not yet. No, no.
man.
And then the third time he goes, so do you do video? Yes, I do. Click,
There you go.
record.
Yeah. Yep.
And I knew what he was getting at. He was like, yo,
Mhm.
man, just get ahead, man. Stop
That's it.
fronting, just jump right in and just, you're already using the platform. Take
Right.
advantage. Use the video aspect
Exactly.
of
You
it.
got it. It's
Yeah,
included with what you're already doing. It
yeah,
requires a little more editing, but if you're creating it and you're trying to get your message out, so it opens you up to a whole new audience,
yeah.
outside of now you can put like the videos on YouTube and
Mhm.
social and all that stuff.
And
So,
that's what it was. It was just,
yep,
that was the next step. That was the next evolution of what I was doing. And
yep,
it took someone just like, yo, you sure you don't do video? So you using StreamYard, man. What you mean you don't do video?
man.
So
Don't you love that? Like when someone just someone because it was a guest on your show, right?
mhm, yeah,
Someone that you didn't have a history with just popped in your life for this podcast, and just some stranger asks you a single question that totally like changes things, like one question, and you're
yeah.
like, wow, like that's dope, man.
Well, yeah, he flipped it on my head. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Yeah,
I
right.
love that.
I feel you. I like, yeah, I get it. Now I
Yeah.
understand what you're trying to say, man. And
Right,
so
right, right.
right there, I was like, yeah, I do video.
Yep. That's it. You don't look back.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. So what's one of the most common mistakes people make in digital marketing today?
Oh man, digital marketing today. Um, yeah, there's many common mistakes. I think one is people who just follow all the trends and they try to gain or game the algorithms, trying to do what's popular, because that will only get you so far. Following the trends, doing what's popular will allow you to have a moment, but not spending enough time and attention on creating your own brand and your own strategy that's actually going to be a viable product or service, 5 years from now. Like we're chasing short term success as opposed to like the long term game. You got to play the long game in business and marketing. And what's crazy is like a lot of times the people that have success that are creating the trends, like they're the ones benefiting because they're like the first to the market. You know, if you're the first one to do it or the first few to do it, you're the one that's going to benefit the most. But then all these other people see that, oh, that's what's working. Or you probably heard this a million times. That's what I have to do. I have to do this to do XYZ. And I just want to say, no, you don't. You can do that. But my whole thing is like, if everybody else is doing it, what makes you so different? You know, like you're not standing out. So you have to do something a little bit. You can't follow and chase the trends. Like, and I've posted content on my social. Like, I'm not doing some dance trends. I'm not doing any of that. And it's not because I can't dance. I mean, I'm okay. I don't profess to be a dancer, but I'm not selling myself out for the content. I need to be true to me. And I think brands and marketers need to be true to who you are and who the brand is. And if there's a time that you can be genuine and authentic and hop into a trend, cool. But don't let that shape the direction of where your brand is going.
And you're absolutely right. There's been plenty of times that I've been wanting, like, nah, I want to do that to go viral or whatever. But I'm like, nah,
Yeah,
that's not who I am.
exactly.
I love the clips that I do for my show. I love uploading those instead of doing the most common dance, the trending dance that everyone's doing, or the trending thing.
Right.
I was like, nah, let me just be true to who I am
That's
and
it.
upload clips from my show because this is what I
Yep.
love, and the people I have on the show have something beneficial. Yeah, is
Exactly.
it blowing up? Nah, but it's getting to enough people. If I impact one person's life, I'm doing something. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's it. And you're the boss of your podcast. Nobody is telling you you have to make this content. So whatever you put out into the world, your digital footprint, all this is your brand. So when you put
Yeah.
your head on that pillow to go to sleep at night, it's like, do I feel good about what I'm putting out? And if I'm
Mhm.
not being authentic, if I'm not being true, if I'm not making an impact, like I don't feel good. So I'm not gonna do it. And I have that freedom, you have that freedom. Nobody's telling us what to create. Give me 5,000 like active, engaged followers who really are looking for life change or tips on marketing as opposed to 5 million followers who are just going to talk trash about me on anything I post. I can say something positive and like, I don't like his haircut, you know? I'm like, my content isn't for you. Like, if you want to
Yeah.
grow, you want to learn, man, check in with me. You know, I'd rather have the real people than a number. It's not
Oh
about the
yeah.
vanity metrics.
It isn't. It really isn't. And like you said, I'll be happy with 1,000 loyal people who just
For
tuning
sure.
in and listen. Because that to me it's like, yeah, like I'm impacting 1,000 people's lives, man.
Right.
People are
Right.
tuning in and listening. I'm like, and watching the videos, and again, it's not like it's not like, okay, yeah, all these big name podcasts, yeah, they have backing. They've been doing it for
Right.
years. Yeah, now
Yeah.
I'm going in my fifth year now, but
Awesome.
I've built this up. I like
Yeah.
this is something I
Ground up.
can be proud of. I built
Yep.
this up from the ground. Nobody can say, "Oh, yeah, I did this for you." Nah, man, I built this. I
Yeah.
worked hard. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into
Yes.
this, and
Sure is.
so that right there for me is like, oh man, I,
Yeah.
I did something. I accomplished something. I got something
Exactly.
done. So it's something that I'm very proud of, and hopefully I can inspire people to like, yo, listen, I'm a kid from Brooklyn.
Mhm.
Um, this wasn't what this wasn't in my, like, I didn't have this vision of me doing this and being a
Right.
podcast and everything. It's
Yeah.
something that I did and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
giving me purpose now. It's giving me
Right.
something like, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want people to know
Yeah.
they're not the only ones out there struggling. There's other people like out that started from nowhere and build something up. And
Yeah.
so if I can inspire people to change their lives and see that, hey man, these are just regular folks,
Exactly.
and look what they're doing. Why can't I
Yeah.
do this?
Right. I mean, everybody starts with 0 followers, you know, and when you build something that's yours and you start to get the followers, and again, not necessarily the followers, but the impact. You know, when you get those comments that are like, "Wow, that was thank you for what you said," or "That episode really impacted me." Like that is the payment. You know, that's the gratification. And you said it like you're. This is like purpose driven work. This is like you do this, you feel like you're fulfilling your purpose, and you sharing your experience and shining light on others and encouraging others to follow their own path, and find their purpose. You can vouch for, and I can too, like what life is like now that you are doing something, you've hit your stride versus what your life used to be like. And you can have a regular 9 to 5 job and still do something where you're fulfilling your purpose outside of work. It doesn't have to be like your 9 to 5 is your purpose, is you're living your purpose. Sometimes that's not how it is. Your purpose is not a job.
Mm.
It's your life. It's
And
what
and
your
that's
legacy is.
and that's what I kind of, prior to that, is like I was kind of getting it confused and mixed up and twisted.
Yeah.
And when I started the podcast, it was like, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the 9 to 5 pays the jobs,
Right.
pay for my bills. That
The
pays
bill.
for
Yep.
the bills and everything. This
Right.
here feeds my soul.
Yeah.
This here feeds me the energy and and what I love to do, and to see the impact and to hear from the people. That right there drives me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
For
my
sure.
job pays the bills, but this year, like I said, this fills my soul.
Yeah. And for you, it's podcasting. For someone listening, it might be volunteering, or
Whatever it is,
it
yeah.
might be carpentry. It's like that's my encouragement, is like, find, if you're living in life right now and your soul is not being fed in the way that you're talking about, like, find what that is. And if you're like, well, how do I find if I don't know where to look? Like, that's when you have to pause and you have to do some work on yourself. Get my book. My book isn't the only personal development book. If you don't want to get my book, don't get my book. But do something. Check in with a counselor, a coach. Even your family is what I found, is like, because we get so stuck in our head, and just asking them, what do you think I'm good at? Just from the outside, close friends, close family. If you're really trying to figure out that next direction to go, you can look inward, but look externally as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm blessed, man. My nephew, he's like I said, he was the first one that I had, and we had him on the phone with me and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been able to publish his book. He
Wow.
published one book prior, but then
That's great.
together, me and him published a second book.
Wow.
And that one was much more into self-development and all that. And so
yeah,
I love the fact that I helped him get that to go and launch that
right.
and accomplish that. And so then I have my wife who like, I was a gamer, man. I used to play, when I come home from work, I spend hours gaming.
Yeah.
And so when I started podcasting, she was like, yo, this dude don't even pick up his controller no more. Like, she came to me and she was like, yo, she says, I know you serious about what you're doing right now. She said, I know you're serious, because your PlayStation is over there collecting dust.
Wow.
And you're over here recording, and she lets me record. She goes, go do you. She's like, yo, but what can we do to start making this into something that's gonna be profitable, or whatever it is. She helped me launch my LLC, do all that. So I'm blessed to have that support.
Yeah. But what I like about what you said is you took a step to what I call eliminating distractions. So you enjoyed gaming, but it was also a distraction that was keeping you from your purpose.
Yeah.
And at some point you got the wisdom to say, you know what, this purpose piece matters more to me than playing this game. And finding a way to, not finding a way, just being like, I'm not playing anymore. Because I've had similar things, like back in my 20s. Like, I love to play like NCAA college football, EA Sports. Like, I'm like, I'm just gonna play one game, and I play one game, and then let's run it back. You play 2 games, let's run it back, and before you know it, like, you've played like 8 hours of games back to back to back. And I'm like, man, I do not want this to be my life. Like, there's other things that I want to do with my life. And so got to a point where I was like, I'm getting rid of this. PlayStation is going. And I haven't had one since. I know they dropped the NCAA football this year.
Back, I know.
Man, I know. I was like, oh man, I want to
get
one
of my favorite games. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Football was one of my best favorite games to play, man.
Yeah.
And so I was like, do I want to get a PlayStation? I was like, nah,
I know. That's where I was. Exactly. I was like, no, because I need to just keep that. You have to know what those distractions are, and especially if you can't control them, because that you think you're just going to do something, but that addiction, or however your brain functions, it's like it just needs that little extra. But I have zero regrets, and I'm sure you don't have any as well, because you're still podcasting 5 years
Yeah.
later, like you said. So, there are things that you enjoy, and when you're on that path of purpose, you have to say no to things that you enjoy,
Yeah.
because there's something bigger waiting for you. So it's like,
Mhm.
what are you willing to sacrifice to really have this life for you
To
and
get,
for your family? And those are
yeah,
the
to get
questions you have
here.
to ask yourself.
Yeah. It is definitely something I was like, nah, I love this. This is,
Yeah.
like I said, she's seen the love from, she like, man,
Hmm.
you- and honestly, my wife hasn't heard one single episode,
Yeah.
not a one. But
Yeah.
she wear my merch. She like, oh, my husband got a, don't you like
Nice.
podcasts? Go listen to my husband's podcast.
Yeah.
She's my number one fan
That's
without hearing
awesome,
an
man.
episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like
Hey,
this
man.
this past September, I went to Pittsburgh and I went to I did an event with a fellow podcaster that I
Hmm.
met a couple of years, and he opened a podcasting studio in Pittsburgh,
Cool.
and I was, that's like 4 or 5 hours from me, but me and my wife drove over there. Another podcast that we connected with, that we're friends with, came from Ohio, and we hosted a 2-day event. It was for international podcast. They fell on that Monday, the 30th. So
Okay.
that Saturday and Sunday, we did a 2-day event, and that
Wow.
was the first time she ever actually saw one of my shows.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
I had a guest come on. I had a guest virtually, and I was on
Yeah.
stage interviewing the person. And
Oh, you're doing it live?
yeah, I did it
That's
live.
cool.
And,
Cool.
and
Cool.
so that was the first time she ever watched one of my shows, and or ever
Yeah.
like so. And then she got to interact, and then she got to be on stage and do some stuff.
Oh, awesome.
So
That's great.
it was cool. So now this year again, we're expanding it. It's still 2 days, but we're trying to get people to come a couple of days early or whatever. We're trying to have
Mhm.
a get together that Friday,
Okay.
and then having the event, and we're trying to get more people to come to the studio, to the theater,
Okay. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and be a part live from the theater. Yes, we're gonna have virtual shows because not everyone's gonna be able to make it to Pittsburgh.
Sure. Yeah.
But we've been promoting it. I've been, every time I get a chance to talk about it, I talk
Yeah.
about it,
Yep.
and so we want it to become a yearly thing where we go on stage and we give these podcasters a platform
cool.
where they can go out and shine.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Like building a community for podcasters, because they may have that here in Atlanta. I'm not sure. I just started podcasting a few months ago. So I just wrapped season 1 of my show.
How did you like it?
Man, I enjoyed it, man. Like my biggest challenge was like, what do I want to talk about? And that's because I've been wanting to podcast for years.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, man, what do I want to talk about for like 500 episodes? And there's like nothing. There's nothing that I'm like that interested in that I want to talk about for 500 episodes. And then it's like, why would someone want to listen to me for 500 episodes? And that's like negative self-talk in a way. However, I'm like, I would get bored talking, and I don't want to have to like chase down like guests for 500 episodes. So I decided with my podcast, I'm doing seasons. So season 1 is about one topic. Season 2 will be about another topic. So every season will be like a different topic. And so season 1 was about digital fundraising and digital marketing for nonprofits, because I do a lot of work with nonprofits, and I wrote a book about it. Season 2, which I'm actually about to start recording, is really based on my book. So like the life transformation and personal development. So I have 10 episodes of that. But no, I'm enjoying it, man. Like I knew I would want to. Like, this mic was the same mic that I used back when I was doing music. Like, it's really the only piece of equipment that I never got rid of, because I was like, I paid too much for this mic, and I'll probably use it one day. I don't know when, but I will use it one day.
Yeah.
So I held on to it.
Oh no, your mic, you sound good, bro.
I appreciate that.
You got that voice. You got that voice.
Hey, this is that Neumann TLM mic. So I was watching there was like a documentary on Billie Eilish on Apple a couple years ago, and I saw she actually had this same mic. I was like, oh, all right, have the same. The pros use it. It's a good mic, so I can't get rid of it.
Good thing you did, man. Because now look at you. You're being a guest on podcasts. You have your own podcast. So it's a good thing you didn't get rid of it.
Trying to be like you, man. That's all. Yep.
Thank you. So what you talk about unlocking your edge in your book, right? So how can someone start discovering their own edge today?
Yeah, and edge it's an acronym. So finding your edge, and this is what I walk through. It's a framework that I walk through in my book, and it's eliminate distractions, discover yourself, generate goals, and enact discipline. And it's really step by step by step. When you're doing this work on yourself and really trying to unlock your purpose, you have to start with eliminating distractions. Like your life changed whenever you put that PlayStation down, as did mine, because you can't really start that work of discovery on yourself if you're still distracted by whatever it is. It can be gaming, it can be food, it can be television, it can be toxic friends, relationships. Like these are all distractions. So I kind of help in my book, like, let's identify what these distractions are. Then the path of discovery. So now that we've eliminated these distractions, we're in a mindset where we can really focus in on who we are. So there's some assessments you can take. I talk about different tips and ways that you can do this discovery work on yourself in the book. And then once you learn more about yourself, you're now coming from a position of having just this knowledge, more of who you are, what you're capable of, what stirs your heart. And now when you're generating goals, it's not how you feel in the moment or based on this experience last week at work. It's based on who you are and what your gifts are. And creating those goals around that and then enacting discipline is really having that tenacity and perseverance to get up every day and work towards these goals and this better life that you want for yourself. So that's really what the book is about. So how do you find your edge? It's really, you have to do the work to do it. My book is a resource that walks you through my model. And, you know, it has reflections, journal reflections at the end of every chapter, which I've gotten some great feedback on. People are like, man, these are really good, challenging questions that have helped me learn about myself. Or people have sent me messages saying there are pieces in your book that have made me think about things I haven't had to really address or think about since my childhood. And it's really opened me up, like, you know, finding what that joy is in your life. So it's really good to hear that, because the book for me was therapeutic because it was just me writing about what helped me, writing about my experiences. But it's also good to hear that when other people read it, they can share their own experience and relate to that as well, and get something from it that has caused some positivity and movement in their life.
Yeah, man. Just listening to it, I'm like, man, I'm following my edge.
Cool. Yeah, you are, man. Yeah, you are. Or certainly, you don't need my book. My book is not for you. Are
Oh,
not the target
it is.
market.
It's not, but I'm gonna get it to support, bro. Plus, I want to
Yeah,
read
no, I
it.
appreciate it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's something in there that I can take from it, man.
Oh,
Definitely,
for
man.
sure, man.
I
No,
definitely, I'm gonna definitely go get it and read it, because just from you talking, I'm like, man, that's something I think I might be interested in reading. So yeah, definitely,
yeah.
man.
I mean, it's good. I go back and reread parts of it at times because there are a lot of questions. And I think there's questions, even though we ask them of ourselves and we answer them, it's good to go back and review those questions. And because you forget about this, the brain can only hold so much.
Yeah,
So there's times that I'll go back to the questions at the end of the chapters and I'm like, man, I forgot about this. And your answers may be different because you may have grown past where you were when you definitely grown where you were from a year ago, hopefully. But if you read my book and you read it again 5 years later, you've grown. So the way that you answer the questions will be different, and it can still challenge you. It still challenges me.
oh yeah, no, I've grown so much in the past 5 years, man, since starting this.
Mhm.
And even with this year now, having my surgery and knowing
Yeah,
that I gotta it's a change of lifestyle for me now. I
it
gotta
is.
change the way I eat. Gotta do
Yeah,
so
man.
many different things, because
Yep.
it was like I got so much I gotta do and get I have purpose. I have something I need to
Yeah.
get accomplished. There's so many other people I want to impact, and so many
Yeah.
other different things I want to start doing. And I didn't have the energy
Mm,
where I was at. And now
right.
after the surgery, I wake up like, yeah, first week I've been sore and all that and everything,
Mhm.
but I wake up with a different energy now. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm more, and losing the weight and everything else.
Hmm.
You can see, like, my feet used to swell up, bro. My feet used to
Wow.
swell up from
Yeah.
the weight and everything.
Hmm.
I have ankles again. I joke with my wife and I'll be like, yo, I got my ankles back. I can see my ankles.
You're like, I'm
It's
bringing ankles back.
yeah.
Yep. There you go. You better
So,
bring those ankles back. Come on now.
yeah, so no, so it's been like, yo, yeah, this is life altering and
That's awesome.
changing, and
Yeah.
but it's something that I needed, and I've also decided that something that from earlier this month. I connected with actually connected with her last month on
Mhm.
this show that I do with my friend
Mhm.
called Rise and Outshine. Actually, I would like if you want to um I want to link you up with us so you can be
Cool.
do so you can do your show on it. It's
Cool.
a show that we do called Rise and Outshine, where we have podcasters come on, do
Mhm.
10-15 minutes of their podcast, and people who actually tell they leave they leave like oh, what did you like about it? Did you like his audio, his video, and all that? And they'll
Oh,
leave
cool.
words about what kind of they'll leave message words saying like, oh man, this episode was amazing,
Yeah.
educational, smart, whatever they want to put out there. And
Good. Good.
so I met
That's good.
Nina Perez, shout out Nina.
Okay.
And she came on the show, but she didn't have a guest and she didn't have a video clip or whatever. So she's like,
Mhm.
yo, why is you can I interview you? I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
sure, let's do this. Even though I was hosting the show, but I was like, all right, let's do this. And
Yeah.
she interviewed me and we had a great conversation. It was 10-15 minutes. And she was like, "Yeah, I need to have you on my show."
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. So
That's
I did her
awesome.
show. I did her show. We had a great time.
Mm.
We actually recorded an episode for my show. I released it about prior to me going in for surgery and everything.
Yeah.
And she had a course before like a course, a 5-day course. She offered free a 5-day course,
Yeah.
and I signed up. Like I received the email and I signed up. And she
Mhm.
doesn't really coach men. Her thing is helping empower women and all that.
Yeah.
But I signed up for the course, and it was impactful for me.
Great.
It was something where I realized like I need to me personally improve my relationship with God. I'm not a
Mhm.
religious person. I'm not going to tell you I go to church every Sunday because that
Yeah.
like I'm not going to say I read the Bible every day. No,
Mhm.
but it was that those 5 days of her teachings and speaking and everything she told me to do and things that I
Yeah.
started doing, it was impactful. It made me realize,
Great.
I want to improve my relationship with God. I
Yeah.
want to be able to communicate with him more and so one of the first things she had me do was write a letter and I
Mm.
wrote my letter.
Wow.
And it's crazy because I wrote the letter and I let my wife read it and everything.
Mhm.
And so a situation came where my wife she put me on the spot
Mhm.
and she like, okay, you want to do coaching? I got a
Mhm.
situation for you. And
Yeah.
she put me on the spot and had me do a coaching session
Wow.
and it was amazing. I was like,
Yeah.
at first I was like, nah, she's like, you could, cause it was something, it was family issue and
Okay.
like, nah, she's like, I was gonna go sit in the room and let her handle it. And she was like, nah,
Mhm.
nah. I read
Yeah.
your letter. I read
Mhm.
your letter, and I know what you want to do. And here
Wow.
you go. Here's the perfect opportunity. And
That's great.
it was
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
experience. I was like, oh man,
Oh, that's
okay,
great.
I can do
So,
this. And when
yeah.
she saw me, she was like, and she see me at work and me talking and doing, and she was like, that's my man. Like,
That's
yo,
it.
he can do this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that, I was like, yo, thank you.
Like, like I
Yeah.
might have to start adding coaching to the repertoire.
So
Yeah.
it was amazing. And then I also wrote I wrote a prayer that I say every morning now.
Awesome. That's
You know
great,
what I'm
man.
saying? So now it was like it was just impactful for me
Yeah.
in a way. And it was like and I wasn't like my surgery looked like I wasn't gonna have my surgery, right?
Okay.
But things started falling into place. Things
Mhm.
happened. I was able to get a certain procedure done in
Good.
order for me to because I was supposed to get it done December 24th.
Mhm.
And something happened where
Mm.
they this the anesthesiologist didn't feel comfortable with doing the surgery. The
Wow.
procedure he didn't feel so I had to cancel it. So
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
told my surgeon this, it looked so I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to push back the surgery to March.
Mm.
So it
Mhm.
looked like I was so
Oh,
it looked
wow.
like like all the progress that I've done,
Yeah.
it was gonna get pushed back to March. And
Mhm.
my surgeon said he worked it out and actually, because I wasn't gonna get the procedure done till February. The
Okay.
procedure that I was supposed to do December 24th. They didn't have no openings to February.
Mm.
And my surgeon was like, nah, he got it done.
Yep.
And right after all this stuff that I put out there, and he got me an appointment where I got it done on the 15th of this month.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
so
That's
I was
great.
able to keep my surgery date for the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, man, just by me putting just the energy I'm
That's it.
putting out and the
Yeah.
message and the talking to God and all this, things are just falling into place.
It is. It's like that's how God uses people, you know, because I'm a spiritual guy. And it's like
Yeah.
when you're doing the work, like you're going to find those blessings because you're in a position where you have a voice, you have a platform, you're doing good in the world, and things will come in place. You start aligning yourself and making those moves, like doors will open for you. And this is an example of how that works. You know, and it's, to me, it's like I look at life in general, and I talk about 5 forces of balance, which are like your family, your professional life, your health, your spiritual life, and then like your personal life. And I talk about these in the book, but what you touched on with the spiritual life, if you have all this other stuff going for you, but you don't have the spiritual life, then there's a piece that's missing, you know.
Mhm.
You know, on the flip side, it's like if spiritual's good and job is good, health is good, but you're a terrible spouse or parent, like, man, you got to do some work on the family piece, you know, because it all is, these are the forces that really help you to be complete and have that joy in life. And like I do assessments like once or twice a year, like I'll rank myself in these, like on a scale of 1 to 5, how am I doing in my family life and spiritual and personal, professional. And it really helps me to just to be conscious of it and be intent or make moves with intent with how I live my life, the choices that I make and things like that.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. Oh man, the time is flying by, bro. Like we just been
All right.
conversating, and that's what I love about this. Is like, yeah,
Yeah.
I have questions I want to ask, but then we
Yeah.
start really getting to conversating and talking, and we get start,
Yeah.
and it's just
And
like,
3 hours later, here we are.
yeah, right. But bro, I appreciate this time, man.
Sure, me too.
This has been amazing.
Yep.
But now comes the time where you get the solo screen and you get to share and plug away and let
Oh,
everybody
snap.
know
Don't
where they
give me
can
the
find.
solo screen now. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'm Jeremy Haselwood. You can find me at jeremyhaselwood.com. You see my name here if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, it's Haselwood, Haselwood. My book, my latest book is Finding Your Edge, How to Unlock Your Talent and Purpose. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, Apple Books, Audible. So check it out there. If you are interested in coaching, I do offer a coaching course as well. So you can follow me on Instagram, jeremy.haselwood. Or if you work somewhere and you want me to come lead a workshop or speak at an event, just connect with me on LinkedIn. So I appreciate your time today as a listener. Hopefully you picked up something from this conversation that will inspire you and cause you to take that step, that next action that you need to take to be on that path of purpose. So yeah, thank you for your time today.
I appreciate it, man. Like time. Like I usually try to keep it between 35, 45 minutes, but
Yep.
it was such, when you just start talking to people that you
Yeah.
enjoy
Keep it
talking
going.
with
Yeah.
and just that connection going and you just start having a great conversation. Like you just don't know,
Yep.
man. Just keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
I appreciate you, brother, man. I
for
thank you
sure.
for coming on the show, man. I definitely would love to have you back on because there's other questions I want to ask
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all that. But I definitely would love to have you back on once again
Cool.
and hopefully but if you got something you want to promote then too, you definitely come back on
Yeah.
and promote it. And
Cool.
yeah, man, I appreciate you being on.
Make
But
it
don't
happen.
leave just yet. Let me close out the show.
All
But
right.
thank you, man. I appreciate this.
Cool.
This has
Thanks,
been
Will.
great.
Thank you,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Another episode's in the books. Shout out to everybody who sent me love and support. I appreciate you all, man. Thank you for all the messages, the calls. Is this just another step in me in my growth and development and me changing my life and health was one of the keys Health, spiritual, all these are 2 steps that I need. I knew that I needed to work on, and I'm very glad that I've started those processes and started changing my life. But thank you everybody out there who supported me and has helped the podcast grow. I greatly do appreciate it, man. Shout out to Poppy J, my brother. Nothing but love for you, man. Thank you for the support. Shout out to the boss lady. Appreciate everything you do and everything you continue to do for our family. And as always, shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know how your boy Wize does it. Peace out.